The National Peace Council is calling for a ceasefire in the Boko conflict. Member of the council, Sheikh Arumeyao Shaibu, said the intervention of the Asantehene is equally needed to restore calm. Speaking on the probe with MFR Paul last night, Sheikh Arumeyao said he believes the conflict is depriving innocent citizens of their lives and development in general. We'll hear from him shortly, but first, calls for government to tackle the conflict differently keeps increasing. According to experts, leaving the matter in the hands of politicians will only be aggravated. Security consultant Professor Kwesienin, for instance, believes such political inclinations makes it difficult to arrive at a holistic approach to resolving the violence. Many have raised concerns over the inability of successive governments to eliminate the root cause of the problem completely. However, speaking on JoyNews' AM show, Professor Kwesienin said he believes the lack of a dispassionate approach makes it difficult for that to happen.
This will not be the last time. Actually, it's going to escalate dramatically, depending on how we respond to the latest challenges. Boko has been allowed to fester over the decades, and the approach first to understand.
Your tax refund belongs to you, not an identity thief. Over $6 billion in tax refunds were flagged by the IRS for possible identity theft in 2023. If you're in a bind this tax season, LifeLock can help. Our U.S.-based restoration specialists are experts dedicated to helping solve your identity theft issues. And all LifeLock plans are backed by the $1 Million Protection Package. So we'll reimburse you up to the limits of your plan if you lose money due to identity theft. Don't let someone else enjoy your refund. Save up to 25% your first year at LifeLock.com/aware.
To military-style weaponry. Now, almost every category of explanatory framework that I have provided, were we to disaggregate them, leads to even more confusion, but certainly gives us a sense that we are not tackling this problem the way that it ought to be tackled. Unfortunately, when crises do happen and emotions get involved, then disentangling it becomes very difficult. There is another factor that we need to understand. And that factor is that over time, and this is what I have mentioned earlier on tangentially, is that social media is playing a role that sometimes, or more often than not, is not very helpful. Because the speed with which false information, the help of AI, manipulated visuals can be placed in the public domain, that of course, ordinary people will accept, propagate, and then also forward, just to those who will sit around the table to look at the economies of scale involving these commodities that I have mentioned. Who are the people involved? Their networks in Boko. Because it's easy to manipulate people to take actions that they themselves are not aware of in terms of its multiplier effect. And I would argue very strongly that the unfortunate incidences happening in Boko are more related to the external manipulation by criminal networks and big criminal networks.
We can now hear from Sheikh Arumeyao Shaibu on the impact of the conflict in Boko as he calls for a ceasefire.
It's been said, it is observed that politicians, have been involved in this matter. Whenever there's a change of government, one group thinks that our government is in now and we can get what we want. But because of the sensitivity of the matter, we try to avoid not to be bringing in the political element, but only to advise politicians. To advise politicians, especially politicians that hail from that part of the country to see the issue of Boko as a large regional whole problem that requires the input of both MPP MPs and NDC MPs. In fact, they need a certain united front to be able to confront this problem. That is the only means by which they can, if you like, diffuse the politics of it. Because once they don't come together, and sometimes when they speak in public or on the floor of parliament, sometimes the body language and the tone of the discussion is send certain messages to their own people up there, and it doesn't help the situation. So, and then secondly, it appears to me that even with the media, we should stop even bringing in and interviewing these politicians, because anytime you interview a politician, he wants to speak in a certain way that suits a certain section of the community. But that experts in peace are those that, and then other, if you like, stakeholders within the community that work for peace are those that should be brought in the forefront for us to work against this. The media, for example, we know that the media in Boko, we have been told that sometimes there are certain radio stations, they are divided among themselves. A radio station is more affiliated or inclined towards Kusasi, another radio station is more inclined to Mamprisi, and the toxic messages they send across is enough to incite the people and still keep their emotions high, tension rises, and we are unable to really solve this problem. So I would wish that we really get our politicians from the northern part of the country to establish a certain united front where both NDC and MPP and the other political parties who are MPs are now talking collectively about the situation and how the situation is dire and the circumstance that is putting the people of Boko in. For example, there's one of the painful things I like to share. Mm-hmm. Very, very young girls, beautiful young girls who have the potential to rise and to become good teachers, good nurses, MPs and so on, are made to run away from Boko to come down to Accra here. And when they come, you know where they sleep? They do come to do kaya. They sleep in front of shops, along the street. Yes. They and men come to rape them. They give birth to children on the street, feed them on the street, raise them on the street. And these children, when they grow, what do they go from? I have engaged the service of a young girl, and I think she's from that part of the country. She's can become my daughter. Yeah. I asked her to carry my things. I asked her, how much should I pay you? Mm-hmm. What this girl told me, I mean, I felt so sad. She asked me to give her 5 cedis, and I gave her as much as 50 Ghana cedis. Yeah. Because I thought, so for this 5 cedis, she's carrying this heavy loads. So that's the plight of our young girls who are running. Schools are not opening. Hospitals are not in operation. Business is stalled, and poverty situation is getting aggravated.
This weekend, some 326 parliamentary aspirants will contest the NPP primaries to elect parliamentary candidates in constituencies where the party has certain members of parliament. Out of the total number of 332 aspirants who filed to contest the primaries, after vetting, 29 are going unopposed, 17 were disqualified, but among them are some past and present government officials seeking a new life in parliament in 2025. Elton Brobe from the political desk takes a look at some of them.
The MPP will seek to break the 8th electoral cycle with Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia in December, in what is likely to be the most fiercely contested election in the country's political history due to several factors. For some, the uncertain outcome seems to be the driving force behind some appointees of government seeking to find shelter in parliament. The Tana North constituency in the Ahafo region has 2 heavyweights battling it out. Special advisor to the Vice President, Dr. Gideon Obwakom, is attempting to unseat the Water and Sanitation Minister, Frida Prempeh.
I'm not coming in because somebody has failed or otherwise. I'm coming in because of what I think I can offer to the people. Honorable Joe Donko came, Honorable Akubo Deborah came, Frida Prempeh came. None of them, and I can say this without any shred of doubt, because we saw all of it, none of them prior to their ascension to the seat as members of parliament, had served the party, has served the polling station people, has served the constituency, and delivered more projects and opportunities to the young people in this constituency than I have done. And if that is anything to go by, it means my beginning is something bigger. It means the end and the process thereof is going to be something bigger for the constituency.
In the Havana North constituency of the Ashanti region, the Director General of the National Disaster Management Organization, Eric Nana Ajiman Prempe, will seek to win the slot. A similar contest is expected in the Asante Akim Central constituency, where the Chief Executive Officer of the National Entrepreneurial and Innovative Program, Kofi Ofosu-Nkansa, is seeking to unseat the incumbent Kwame Eyimedu-Entwi. The Deputy Chief Executive Officer of the Middle Belt Development Authority, Vincent Frimpong-Manum, is confident of victory in the Kwadaso constituency.
We have shared our message. They have compared the two of us. Even though I'm not MP yet, they've seen all the things that I've been doing for the constituency. And they feel that this is the time for them to make a change that will bring them servant leadership, a change that will bring them development, a change that is transformational. And that is what I am all for. I have been engaging them. We've spoken at length. They know my track record in the constituency. They know my track record in the party. And they know my track record as a development practitioner and the things that I have been able to do. And they are yearning for me. So on 27th, we are confident that we are going to win. We are going to be the victors.
Former board member of the Minerals Commission, Dr. Joseph Albert Kwam, is rebounding in the Manson Kwanta constituency.
I'm number 3. This is a clear indication that I'm the winner, signifying Trinity. When I came in 2017, I was able to bring on board 108 projects. I'm just throwing a challenge that when I win, I'm going to make sure that within the first year, all the 10 roads, the contractors will come on board and will make sure that the roads will be tarred.
In the Greater Accra region, after 2 failed attempts, Chief Executive Officer of the Free Zones Board, Mike Okwe Jr., is hoping to be third-term lucky in the Domeko-Abinya constituency.
Well, we're very confident, but at the same time, we're humble to acknowledge that everything is up to God. I contested the first time in 2011. I lost. I didn't contest in 2016 because I didn't want it to look like you are chasing a seat around. I wanted to give ample time for 2 terms before I came again in 2020.
The incumbent MP, Sarah Adwasafo, is however not going down without a fight and therefore expects a keen contest with Sheila Opon-Sechi, hoping to pull a surprise.
My chances are fantastic because I have just the one message for the Domeko-Abinya delegates, that we need a united front to break the 8. We need to take breaking the 8 seriously. And they know me. They know I'm ready to serve them with humility, with love, with care, with attention and diligence.
In the Mion constituency in the northern region, the former mayor of Tamale, Musa Superior, is in the game.
But that is why you don't hear anything about Mion, because we are running a very peaceful campaign, decent campaign. Yes, there are some of our followers. They get out of the way, we correct them, and then we move. If he gets the job, I'll probably lead the campaign. And if I get the job as an MP, he automatically leads the campaign. So we have to be very decent in what we do.
It is also a battle for supremacy in the Yendi constituency, where the incumbent Farouk Aliu Mahama is facing off with the Chief Executive Officer of Maslok, Hajia Abibata Shani Mahama Zakaria. For JoyNews, Elton Brobe reporting.
Let's stay a bit longer on this because the NPP is addressing a news conference currently in Kumasi, where the General Secretary Justin Kodia is announcing that among arrangements for Saturday's primaries, there shall be no camping of delegates voting. Voting will take place outdoors. Voters will be made to leave the voting premises after voting and will not be readmitted into the space no matter what. He's also saying that influencers and macho men will be denied access to the voting area. Let's hear them.
Voters are expected to walk in freely by themselves. No delegate shall be escorted to the voting screen except those with mobility issues and with the Electoral Commission consent. A voter must wait to be cleared before entering the perimeter of queue control. There shall be no camping of delegates. There shall be no camping of delegates. No voter shall wear the color of any contestant at the voting center, be it T-shirt, caps, or posters of contestants. Delegates shall not be allowed to enter the voting screen or booth in groups or in pairs. Voting shall not take place indoors, but in an outdoor place in full glare of the public. It is an offense for unaccredited persons to enter the voting perimeters. A delegate who has already cast his or her vote shall not be readmitted into the voting perimeters. Any person found directing a delegate on which candidate to vote commits an offense and shall be removed by the police. Again, as part of the protocols, it is deemed that all voters, as I indicated, shall leave the demarcated voting perimeters immediately after voting. The Electoral Commission and the police shall enforce and adhere to restricting delegates from taking their phones and other photographic gadgets to the voting screen. Any vote that has been shown to the public shall be nullified. The Electoral Commission and the police shall deny influencers, or what we refer to as macho men, and undesignated persons access to the voting center. All such persons shall be arrested by the Ghana police. The electoral voting shall be, as I said, a walk-in, and the individual shall approach the polling area and vote secretly. Presiding officers from the Electoral Commission shall issue ballots to one delegate at a time. For the sake of emphasis, presiding officers shall not issue ballots to people in pairs or in groups of persons. Ballot papers shall not be torn from any booklet in advance. Let me repeat that point again. Ballot papers shall not be torn from any booklet in advance. It can only be torn when the voter approaches the presiding officer. That's when the person will be given the ballot papers. It is also important that delegates are to carry their identification cards for easy identification and verification. That is, their voter's ID card, party card, passport, or Ghana card. I'll repeat this statement again. Delegates are to carry their identification cards, i.e., voter's ID card, party card, passport, or Ghana card. Delegates are advised to conform to all electoral laws, regulations, and rules on the day of voting. It is against the law to publicly display cast ballots, capture images of cast ballots, and make gestures to show whom one voted for. Anyone who is caught violating this provision shall have his or her vote declared as spoiled or rejected ballot. And it is important, ladies and gentlemen, to note that voting shall commence at 7 a.m. and close at 2 p.m. The voting shall commence at 7 a.m. and close at 2 p.m. And there will be no proxy voting on January 7th. There will be no proxy voting on January 27th. All must take note, on January 27th. Again, no individual shall have the right to either remove names or insert names to replace deceased persons. no individual shall have the right to either remove names or insert names to replace deceased persons. Ladies and gentlemen, we trust that these protocols will contribute to a transparent, free, and fair electoral process. We acknowledge with sincere gratitude the unwavering cooperation from all stakeholders as we pursue an equitable, impartial, and transparent process to elect our parliamentary candidates for constituencies where we have sitting members of parliament. Finally, I must also acknowledge that the National Party has also received certain petitions for some aspirants who have issues with respect to venues that have been chosen for the parliamentary primaries. I will encourage the regional party together with the constituency party to have a look at all petitions that have been sent to them and to look into the merit of it, and by the close of day tomorrow, Tuesday, furnish with the National Party their advice for further action. Thank you very much.
Minister of Education and Member of Parliament for Bosomtwe constituency, Dr. Yao Osei Duchum's candidature on the ticket of the NPP for 2024 elections has been confirmed. The MP seeking a third term in Parliament was selected by popular acclamation by delegates of the constituency. Here's a report by Clinton Yeboah.
In the Ashanti region, 5 parliamentary aspirants are running unopposed in the NPP parliamentary primaries. In accordance with Article 7 of the New Patriotic Party's constitution, 1,027 delegates in the Bosomtwe constituency gathered with a single voice of affirmation to support Dr. Yao Osei Duchum. The process of popular acclamation is the Electoral Commission's constitutional means of confirming the unopposed aspiring parliamentary candidate as the NPP parliamentary candidate for December's election. Dr. Yao Duchum, in his acceptance speech, thanked delegates for entrusting in him another representation. He vowed to tackle pending critical issues confronting the area.
Minister for Education.
I mention Bosomtwe everywhere I go because I was an MP before becoming a minister. I want us together to lift the name of our constituency. I believe I have achieved enough for this constituency, and I'm grateful for you trusting in me.
District I'm by mu constituency I'm by mu next school siamians.
There were only 3 secondary schools before I came. Now you can't count them. I have sat with elders. You will no longer see dust on your roads.
Nananom eno dinkita ho ahemfoni ahema obosomtwe nyina bai ema me bu akonta kire wo mo ema mo hu dia ya obosomtwe dia MPP aban aye obosomtwe enche emfutura mo hu no mo hu no biem.
Ashanti Regional MPP Secretary Kwame Adom Apia says the party has learned lessons from 2020 elections and of course to rectifying them to raise actions.
During the 2020 electionary campaign, some people were denying forms, others were not giving. We've learned those lessons. This year, the evidence is there. No one complained about not being given form to contest. Some few people were disqualified. They were disqualified on genuine grounds. If genuinely your documents are not up to date, if genuinely you did not meet the criteria, there's no way that we have to allow you to go. Everybody who was eligible and qualified was asked to go. If we level the grounds, we made the grounds fair, equal for everybody to contest. Nobody is complaining, and that's a good sign for the MPP. We are just praying that the 1 week left should be a peaceful week for everybody, so that at the end of the day, we would go out as a united party to win power for the party.
The The party's primaries for areas with existing seats in parliament are expected to be held on 27th January 2024. Reporting for JoyNews, Clinton Yeboah.
Let's stick with politics because the National Democratic Congress has hit hard at the government over the delayed completion of infrastructure projects in the Ashanti region. Among stalled projects in the phase 2 of the KJTR redevelopment project and the second phase of the Kumasi International Airport, they are some of the projects that they are hitting the NPP on. The NDC Regional Secretary Frank Amwakohene at a press briefing expressed worry over the delay and its impact on development. Nana Boachi Yadom has more.
The second phase of the Kumasi Central Market, the Krofro Market, and phase 2 of the Kumasi International Airport are among several stalled projects in the Ashanti region. The delay in the completion of the Krofro Market, KJTR redevelopment, and the Kumasi Airport projects, as well as other hospital projects, has led to several protests by traders and residents. According to the Ashanti Regional NDC Secretary Frank Amwakohene, the government has failed the region.
Government has failed Ashanti region, and there is no iota of doubt about that. I mean, a region that is your World Bank in terms of votes should not be treated this badly in terms of development, in terms of opportunities, among others. In fact, Ashanti region should have seen 2 or 3 times the development Eastern region has seen under Akufo-Addo. And we believe that Ashanti region has been sidelined so far as the Akufo-Addo administration is concerned. And it reflects even in his appointments, his ministers, his CEOs, among others. Most of the key people who are Ashantis and could get opportunity under Akufo-Addo and help the Ashanti region have all been sidelined. And we believe that this current setup, MPP setup, has nothing to offer Ashanti region.
The NDC flag bearer, John Mahama, is expected to take his Building Ghana tour to the Ashanti region next week. Mr. Amwakohene outlined the itinerary of the former president while in Kumasi.
His Excellency John Mahama will stay for additional 2 days in the region. And whilst in the region, he's going to engage with organized labor, traders, market women, students, citizens, and everyone that we may come across within the communities that we have enlisted for this kind of engagement. We believe that this series of activities will bring His Excellency and the party much closer to the people.
The 24-hour economy sensitization walk will feature in the tour.
The road is clear now, and we are ready to embark on the retail campaign. And this retail campaign will be led by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama himself. And it is scheduled for 24th, that is Wednesday, 24th January 2024. We are starting at exactly 8 o'clock a.m. And the route is as follows. We have amended it just to suit the other programs as well. So we start from Abu Abu Post Office. We will go through Pelele, on the run, Menshia Hospital. We proceed to Alaba Street, KJTR Runabout, Hello FM, A-Life, Asafo Overpass. We will go through Labour Runabout, and then we will conclude our walk at the Jubilee Park.
For JoyNews, Nana Boachi Yadom, Kumasi.
Ahead of the final group game of the ongoing African Cup of Nations tournament in Côte d'Ivoire, some Ghanaian fans in Abidjan are optimistic that the Black Stars of Ghana will beat their Mozambican counterparts to book their ticket into the next round of the tournament. My colleague Anas Sarit has been speaking with some of them on the streets of Trècheville and came through with this report.
The African Cup of Nations enters its third round of matches in the group stages, and today the Black Stars of Ghana will be locking horns with the Mozambicans in that crucial encounter that will determine who seals its ticket to the next stage of the competition. Ahead of this particular crucial encounter, we hit the streets here in Trècheville to gauge the expectations of the Ghanaian community or the Ghanaian fans who are here in their numbers to show their support behind the Black Stars of Ghana. Let's have a listen to what their expectations are ahead of that game against Mozambique.
As a Ghanaian, Black Stars are the only team that we have, so we must give them maximum support for them to win tomorrow. So I'm sure that we are going to do better than what they do against Egypt. We are expecting nothing but victory. And we are just encouraging our brothers in Ghana that they should keep on praying, both Muslims and Christians. They should intensify their prayers because tomorrow's match is going to determine whether we are winning the trophy or not.
We are optimistic in the sense that looking at the last match we played against Egypt, the energy and the determination our players use clearly tells that they have the nation at heart. And certainly, God willing, tomorrow we are going to get the 3 maximum points and qualify to the next stage.
These Ghanaian fans want nothing but, absolute support from the Ghanaian community. A couple of them feel quite disappointed, especially when they hear that some Ghanaians are hoping that the Black Stars should be knocked out. They want absolute praise from the Ghanaian community at home to enable the Black Stars of Ghana and the entire team, excel in that game against Mozambique.
Yeah, I encourage you all. Oh, because the ball now, Sunday, Baba, must say, Ghana for you, and more, get one somewhere there. More, I encourage you more in spiritual. I better almost say, young body. Ran upon the world, boy, just to see our Mushi share. Fat name and Yaji, Ghana will be Sakana just in one steady. And Yatia say a battle for a crack. That will show soon, not for war.
The fear for some here on Nampibo. So met Tayachi among Kundia, the idea, because Sakundia, and I said, Brazilian, so what first round here, you were feeling, you form a papa, a tab blaster, Chinachna, Kundia blaster idea. Kakamas Marketing, I am from Papa and Chichi. Mayamuku, Mobia Paba, Ubia Shan Holding, we have a Bible and Chichi, maybe we are going. Now we've heard the expectations as well as what they expect from the Ghanaian community back home. What are their predictions in this particular mouth-watering encounter that will be played this evening?
Second match in a boy, that will be fair. The player win is a match, and I come on the truth. But Yampaba, but what you know to say then, a boy mobile 3 new. Now you are qualified.
Yes, tomorrow, inshallah, we are going to win by 3 goals to 1 or 3-0. Kudus will score, and then the other one is Dreadlocks, Majid. So we are going to score them 2-1.
Financial experts have described the NPP government's imposition of more taxes, including the 15% VAT on electricity consumption on the ordinary Ghanaian, as a lazy approach to raising revenue. Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta last Friday justified the imposition of those taxes to raise revenue for government business. The latest is the 15% VAT on electricity consumption, which many Ghanaians have opposed. We will hear from an economist and professor of finance at the University of Ghana, Godfred Bokwen, on this. But first, let's listen to the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, who says Ghanaians will be just fine.
Expenditure, and then the central bank continues to build its reserves. I think we are going to be fine. It's going to be flourishing and prosperous here. Thank you.
Honorable Minister, the bit about the taxes bit.
Okay. Let's go. The governor was clear to you that it's not going to be inflationary. But more important, I mean, we have all sorts of tax reliefs that you don't want to talk about. And with regards to the taxes on electricity, that was some time ago, and it doesn't affect, sort of the lifeline tax people. And so I think we should be all right. The emissions tax, as you know, is really 100 cedis a year. That's what we are praying about.
15% or 15% plus NHI and gas fund.
You want all of that analysis right now? No. I think we'll be okay. Yeah?
Okay, it's okay.
We can now listen to economist and professor of finance at the University of Ghana Business School, Godfred Bokwen, who describes the imposition of those taxes on Ghanaians as a lazy approach to raising revenues.
A country that has gone through a painful fiscal adjustment of higher taxes, expenditure rationalization, domestic debt exchange, the only viable way it could welcome its citizens into 2024 was to impose VAT on electricity consumption. Okay? And it's also an election year.
The TUC is kicking against that.
I support them. In fact, I'll be glad to join them if they want to demonstrate against this. I support them. I think Ghana, we have allowed too many wrongs in this country.
But Prof, the wrongs have happened and we need a solution. And part of the solution is simply to mobilize money. So if we can use electricity to mobilize money, these are easy sources by which government can get money.
It's a lazy approach. Government should work hard. Nobody is against raising more money. Look, who are we building this economy for? Are we not building it for Ghanaians? Are we not building it for Ghanaian private sector and businesses? What happens if by the time we achieve macroeconomic stability, half of Ghanaians have gone into poverty and have no way of reversing that? What economy is that?
Let's have a conversation on this. I have been joined by Francis Boy Esquire, who is a tax consultant. Grateful for your time, sir. First, what's your assessment of our tax regime, progressive or regressive?
Thanks for having me. First of all, I can say that over the period, let's say 12, 13 years, we've had too many of the indirect taxes. And indirect taxes, in principle, are normally described as regressive. The reason that we are having too many of them is that they are the easiest to collect, and many people cannot avoid it. So over 60% of our total tax revenue comes from indirect tax. The impact is that the very poor get hit the more. And so I don't see so much of the direct taxes coming in. So in totality, you can describe our tax system as, too much weighted towards the indirect tax. That makes it some form of regressive in our tax system.
And what's the impact of this on our system?
Of course, the poor will suffer the most because, you can't avoid indirect tax. Unless you don't buy any products or anything, you will have to pay. If it is direct tax, it is mostly progressive. The more you earn, the more you pay. And this is synonymous to what we see even in our families. Those who are rich are supposed to pay more. But here is the case, because we are unable to collect the direct taxes, we tend to go for most of the indirect taxes, VAT, levies, here and there. And even the way it has been calibrated, we end up adding the levies on the price of the item before we even slap the VAT. So in effect, it is more like tax on tax. And that is why we normally say the VAT rate is 15%, but effectively it is more than that. It's somewhere 22%. Those are the problems that we see with our tax system.
Well, over the period, we've all been worried over how government is not widening the tax net, but rather deepening the woes of the few who are law-abiding. I mean, isn't this the crux of all our problems?
Exactly put. That is the problem. We were told that the replacement of the 10 with the Ghana card was going to help us widen the base. So we were excited. In tax administration, the first thing that you do is that you identify the taxpayer, then you assess the person to tax. So when we identified over 15 million taxpayers, we thought that database was going to help us expand the base and also now go after the people who are not being taxed, not on the side of the indirect tax. For indirect tax, everybody pays. If you buy anything, you pay. So we thought that we were going to go after the direct taxes, like people who earn other income, the informal sector, business operators, the people who sell their properties and make a lot of money in the form of capital gains. All of these things are issues that we have completely ignored. Look at property tax. We have spoken several years, yet we start it and then we back off. So the approach and the way we are handling it is what is causing the imbalance. So the few people, over 2.4 million workers, or maybe former workers, we can say, they pay the direct tax. And if you have over 30 million people and only 2.4 million people are carrying the burden, then clearly people will complain. So I think that we just have to go back to the drawing board and realign our tax system and say, look, enough of the indirect taxes, no more levies. Let's now focus on the direct taxes. The other non-tax revenue should even be on the table. But over the years, we I don't know whether it's for some political reasons or we don't have the capacity. We don't go into those areas and we just focus on indirect tax. It's quite worrying.
So now Ghanaians are complaining because they say the taxes are too much. Salaries are not being increased, yet the ordinary Ghanaian worker has to adjust every now and then to accommodate these new taxes. Now, more worrying is that Ghanaians don't seem to have a clue of what these taxes are used for, as we still battle with our poor road networks, sick hospitals, bad drainage. The list is long. What's your recommendation as far as fixing this problem is concerned?
So first of all, I think that the government should listen to the complaints. We have something we call tax saturation. We get to a point where people, especially the public who pay, start complaining and say that these taxes are too much for us. And so if you're not careful, they will now find ways. If they can, they will find ways to avoid it, especially if they believe that they are not seeing what the taxes are being used for. Look at our budgets. All the tax revenue goes into payment of interest on the loans that we have taken, and then also into salaries. So you ask yourself, how many people are being paid in the public sector? That all the money that we are collecting is going for the payment of those. So people will start complaining. If you realize the business community around Abosokai and its environs, they started having problems with the GRA, where GRA mounted people in their shops trying to monitor the VAT implementation. You go there and they tell you that if you want invoice or if you want VAT invoice, this is the price of the item. If you don't want it, this is the price of the item. And so GRA was not able to collect the taxes because people think that the taxes are too much. So if you are unable to balance and ensure that people get to know what they are paying for in terms of physical infrastructure, they will find ways to avoid it. And if we have a budget statement such that only around 10-15% of the total revenue is dedicated to infrastructure development, then there's a problem. To get to a point where people will say, we are not going to pay because we don't know what the use is. Other countries, they pay more taxes, but they know that when they fall sick, for example, they are going for dialysis, they don't pay for it. So people will get to a point where they will say, look, I don't know what I'm paying for, so why force me? And therefore, if I have option, I will escape. And that's what we are about to see. Because if you look at the way VAT is being done now, if the GRA does not put in serious measures, they will not be able to collect the indirect taxes.
I'm grateful for your time. Francis Boy is a tax consultant and is explaining why our tax regime must be managed so that people will be willing to pay their taxes. Let's take a break on JoyNews Desk. When we return, there's business.
Good morning, welcome to business. My name is Daryl Kwao. PZ Cousins, producer of Camel Antiseptic and other personal and house hygienic products, says 200,000 lucky winners will be rewarded in the Camel Treasure Hunt promo. The ultimate winner in the promotion will walk away with 100,000 Ghana cedis. Speaking at the launch of the promo in Tema, head of brand development and activation for Ghana and Kenya, Hafsa Arthur, said the promo is a reward to loyal consumers. Here's more in this report.
PZ Cousins, producers of leading home and personal hygiene products, says its successes over the decades could not have been possible without the support of its consumers. Promotions such as the Camel Treasure Hunt aim to reward loyal consumers. The promo, which is the 6th national consumer promotion in the last 7 years, will reward 200,000 people and 100,000 cedis as the grand prize for the customer who is able to find CAMEL after scratching Camel Antiseptic liquid bottles. The Camel Treasure Hunt promo runs between January and April this year and has prizes ranging from airtime, cash prizes to free monthly shopping sprees. Head of Brand Development and Activation for PZ Ghana and Kenya, Hafsa Arthur, says through the promotion, the company is giving back to the customers.
So we've chosen the Treasure Hunt promotion. The basic mechanics is for consumers to buy, scratch, text the code to 1393. In there, every consumer who participates actually has a chance of winning something, whether it's daily, whether it's weekly, whether it's monthly. Our monthly rewards are in the form of a shopping spree, which we'll give more details as we journey through. But the exciting part about the promotion is that we want you to hunt for the letters CAMEL, letters that spell camel. And so with every time you scratch, you would get one letter. anytime you scratch, you get a letter. It could be multiples of C, multiples of A, multiples of M, or if you're lucky, you could get each and every one of them. Because the promotion is digitized, the very first consumer that's able to scratch and have the CAMEL is the winner of the 100,000 Ghana cedis.
Hafsa Arthur shares who qualifies to take part in the Camel Treasure Hunts promo.
Basically, every Ghanaian qualifies to participate. The only ones who don't qualify to participate now are ourselves, the business. Anyone who is associated directly to the business, either as a customer, either as a staff member, or the families of any of us cannot participate. Other than that, any of you here and any of you listening to me is more than welcome to start right now hunting for that 100,000 Ghana cedis.
Meanwhile, category brand manager for personal care, Dorothy Opare, demonstrates how customers can take part in the promotion.
So this is how every bottle on the market will look like now. We have a scratch panel, which is across the bottle. When you buy your Camel products, all you have to do, any of our bottles, either the Lime Fresh, which is this, or original, you just scratch the panel. Yes. And so once you scratch the panel, you reveal a code. Now with this code, you text to 1393, and instantly you're on your road to win the ultimate prize. You can get to win instant airtime. We also have our weekly cash prizes, 2,000 cedis each, every week for 13 weeks. We have free shopping sprees at the end of every month, and then ultimately, the person who is able to get all the letters of Camel, which you would receive each letter after you scratch, would then win the 100,000 Ghana cedis.
Head of Commercial at PZ Cousins, Newman Abraham, staff, President of Ghana Medical Association, Dr. Frank Srebo, retailers and others were present to support the launch.
Ladies and gentlemen, please.
While in other news, interest rates took a nosedive for the third consecutive week, the day the International Monetary Fund approved the first review of Ghana's program. According to auction results by the Bank of Ghana, demand for the treasury bills continued to surge. Here's more in this report.
Investor confidence is soaring following the expected release of the $600 million bailout package to Ghana this week by the IMF. According to the auction results, the yield on the 91-day T-bill went down by 15 basis points to 28.88%. That of the 182-day bill also fell to 31.39% from the previous 31.51%. The rate on the 364-day bill also eased by 9 basis points to 31.99%. Meanwhile, the T-bills auction was oversubscribed by 72.3% to 5.270 billion cedis. About 2.632 billion cedis of the bids were tendered for the 91-day bill. All of the bids were accepted accordingly. For the 182-day T-bills, 1.324 billion cedis of the bids were tendered. The uptake was 1.324 billion cedis. The 364-day bill also received bids worth 1.312 billion cedis. All the bids were accepted.
All right, and that's it for this segment. The news continues after the break.